Morning, everyone. Happy Monday. Just thought I'd tune in for the morning drive here, and man, I'm trying to stay warm once again. Freezing here in Florida. Man, I'm telling you. I want to get back to Arizona so bad. There's just no way I can tell you how much I want to get back there. Let me see. Whew. Hopefully you had a good weekend. Mine went by pretty fast. Today's the first day. We got some students coming into the classroom. I think I have a whopping 3, so I'm not worried about it. Damn. Well, yeah, I was, I don't know if you were tuned in last week. I was kind of heading out to go see some movies. Never made it. Not to a single show. I had my Friday and my Saturday pretty much planned out. I was going to go, and not a single show. Didn't do anything this weekend, man. I slept. I mean, literally, you talk about catching up on sleep. Because for those of you that have been watching, you know I probably get 3, maybe. If I'm extremely lucky, I'll get 4 hours of sleep. I don't know what happened. Friday night, I went to bed about, I went to bed about 4 a.m. Saturday morning. So about 4 a.m. Saturday morning, I went to bed. And I think I might have gotten up briefly once or twice. And then around 3 p.m. Saturday, I finally got up and stayed up. And then, same thing, Sunday, or Saturday night, which was Sunday morning, I went to bed, and then I ended up getting up 3 p.m. or something Sunday night. Just my whole sleep schedule way out of whack, man. I have no idea what I'm going to do. Oh, but today, I don't know, this morning I got up, I actually feel much more refreshed. I feel, even though I know I didn't get a ton of sleep, I mean, I still feel much better considering that most of the time I don't get any sleep. So now today it's kind of like one of those days where I'm hoping flies by, but at the same time, even if it drags a little, I'm okay with it. I don't know. Just really weird. Well, I got some emails. I read 2 or 3 of them. I'm kind of surprised. I really wasn't anticipating getting a lot of emails. Because most of the time we talk, just on the show. But I probably got 8 or 9 emails. I got through 2 or 3 of them on Sunday, and I haven't really got to any. A lot of them fell into that same thing as last week. About my marriage, and as I read the 2 or 3 that I read, some of them were kind of personal. But at the same time, it doesn't matter because that's kind of what I wanted on the show. I don't care if it's personal questions or not. And, there were some questions that were, most people might say, well, that's none of your business. But I'm like, you know what? I don't care. I don't have any secrets. It's not like, people are asking me something that either A, they don't know already, or B, they're just looking for confirmation on or whatever. But, there was some questions about, how I can stay married to the same woman year after year, and and then the one person was saying that the person he married now is not the same as she was back when he married her, and all that, and that's cool. I mean, I don't mind answering those kind of questions, but I think I can only speak from my personal. And that's where you have to understand. When I say something, it may not be the best thing for you. It may not be what works for you. It's just for me. I mean, my whole channel, it's kind of about me. It's like, this is what I found out in life. I am not the brightest bulb in the pack. I'm not, sometimes I'm I don't know how to explain it to you, but I'm not all that. I never claimed to be. I just know it has worked for me over the years, and a lot of it has come, actually all of it has come because of the experiences I've went through. That's kind of what makes up your life. your life are the experiences that you've endured. I mean, you know, I look back at when I was growing up in high school and even before high school, junior high, elementary school, and I look back at everything I endured, everything I went through to get to where I am today. And today it's much different. You know, the things that go on today, the things that happen today are much, much more, you know, much different than they were back in school when I was growing up. I mean, you know, like there was times I got my ass kicked over and over again, and there's times I kicked other people's ass. I mean, it was, you know, that was a time where, as I was growing up, we're kind of like learning who we were and how some people could take it. You know, I was able to take it, but it was because I was also able to dish it out. I mean, it was one of those things where we didn't have social media back then. The closest thing to social media when I was in school was, here, give this note to such and such. And you'd write it down, you'd pass notes. That was social media. I mean, there was none of this Facebook. Oh, I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook. Oh, I'm on this. There was none of that. So anything that I went through back when I was in school or that I endured is amplified 100 times because of the technologies that are out there. So it's kind of weird. But the thing is, I think growing up, the whole thing was I knew me. And that was the biggest, I mean, truly, that was the biggest thing in my life, was the ability to say I knew who I was as a person. I knew who I was as an individual. And then the second biggest thing was my ability to say, and I don't care about what someone else thinks. See, a lot of people in this world, and I'm just in general, I mean, I know a lot of people that really, truly, I mean, in their heart, they truly care what someone else thinks of them. And which I think is just so funny. I mean, I find that so amusing, because why would you give one bit of thought to how someone feels or what someone thinks about you? I mean, if you know yourself, let's say if you're a good person, okay, you know you're a good person, you go out of your way to be a good person, you're nice to the people that are dicks to you, and you're not condescending or anything to the people that are, you know, you don't, what is it called, gossip mongering or whatever. You know, you're not one of those people. You are, if you're a good person and you know that, then that's automatically going to go through to everybody else. They're automatically going to know that. So if you're a good person and you do the good things and the things that make you who you are, the people that surround you, the people that put themselves in your circle are there because they like who you are. You don't have to worry about what they think. If you just are who you are, and they surround you, and they're the ones that come to you, and they want to put themselves with you, then there is no guesswork. You're not trying to please anybody. You're just being yourself. Now, the ones that aren't there, the ones that want to, you know, like in my case, I knew who I was. They didn't know who they were yet. They were still young. They were still impressionable. They were still growing up. They didn't know if they wanted to be the bully, the jock, the burnout. They didn't know what they want. They were just learning themselves who they were. And if that's who they decided to be, if they wanted to sit there and you know, give me shit, then that's who they were going to be. Eventually, they'll wake up one day and one of two things will happen. They'll either decide that's who they are, or they'll realize what assholes they've been growing up and throughout their lives, and they'll make a change. You know, but all of that shouldn't impact you. You and me, and you know, we are who we are, and that's kind of what, you know, when I respond to emails and I say things, please understand it's only it's my view, and I could be wrong. I mean, I could actually be wrong about things that I say. I mean, I'm probably not. I seldom am. No, I'm just kidding. I'm joking. But I mean, I could be wrong. I'm not saying that this is going to work for you. But in my case, like when they were talking about, you know, the one guy said his wife has changed over the years, blah blah blah. You know, my response is, look, we all change over the years. There's things that I know I have changed and my wife doesn't like about me because I've changed these things or I've done that. I know that. And sometimes if there are changes that I've consciously made, and I know they upset her, I will make a conscientious effort to make sure I don't do the things that she doesn't like. But most of all, I still stay true to who I am. I mean, if it's something like, last year I didn't take out the garbage very much, and I know that bothers her, then I'll take out the garbage. But I don't think that's what he was talking about. He was talking about the examples he gave was when they got married, she was a different person. She talked to him differently. She treated him differently. And as the years rolled by and she got comfortable, now the way she talks to him is different. And all this. And I say to that, look, every single person on this planet, I don't care who you are, every single person on this planet has their own viewpoint of how somebody has changed. Now, if somebody talked to you a certain way, and that was part of the attraction of why you guys were attracted, but now she's talking to you differently, I can only assume, and here again, it's just an assumption on my part, that it's because you're not communicating effectively. Because if somebody talks to me improperly, and they talk to me a way that I'm not down with, I'm going to explain to them the importance of conveying their thoughts to me in a different way. In other words, I'm going to say to them, hey, don't talk to me that way, that pisses me off. And I'm just going to say it. And I'll just say, now they might not like it, but you know what? Hey, life's too short not to verbalize and say what's on my mind. Now, I'm very selective. I let a lot of things go. I let a lot of things go simply because in the whole scheme of things, it's not worth arguing about. Some people love to argue. I don't know if you ever know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's just me that I notice it, but some people just look for things to argue about. And those are the folks that I kind of think maybe they don't have enough passion in their life. Maybe they don't have enough communication. Maybe they don't have enough people that they can talk to. I don't know. But to me, if you're just looking, and you might not even consciously be aware you're doing it, but if you're just looking for things to argue about, something there is missing. There's some little component in that relationship that's missing, because you shouldn't have to argue and fight about everything. Now, I'm going to use my wife as an example, because hopefully she's not watching this, and hopefully she'll understand using our relationship in this context. But when I was early on married, if she wanted me to do something, whatever it was, and it didn't matter what it was, if she wanted me to do anything, she had a subtle way of coming up to me, and I know there may be women out there that watch or whatever that get offended by this, but she used the charms that she had. She would talk to me a certain way. Hey, honey, could you do this for me? I'd really appreciate it. And of course it made me feel like the man of the relationship, and I would do anything to please her because of the way, and I'm not going to say play the victim, because that's not really what she did. It was just a very respectful, very sweet way that she asked, and I would do anything. I would, honey, would you go out and, tear down the house next door? And, sure, I'd do whatever. The way she said it meant everything to me personally. It was a way that I knew she valued me, she wanted. It was just, and it might have all been a lie. It could have all been just manipulation, because people will tell you, oh, women do that all the time. That's how they use men, wrap them around their finger. Say whatever you want, but I always considered it, even today, when I'm asked a certain thing, it's how you ask, it's how you speak to me that gets the most results. I mean, there are times where she'll come to me and she'll be very, very terse, very direct, very, very strong about what she says, what she wants, a certain way, and I will actually sometimes go out of my way not to do it. I mean, I'll like, you know what, you don't talk to me, and I won't say anything, because that goes back to that communication. I don't want to sit here and have a fight about it, so I won't say anything, but I'll either go last on my list, or it won't get done, because it's not that important to me. She hasn't made it important to me. She made it important to her. And a lot of times you say, well, that's when you should do it. If it's most important to her, well, that is. But there's a common decency that we have of how we talk to people, how we speak to people. That when somebody doesn't give you that, you're really a little less apt to want to help them. I mean, it's like you don't go in for a job interview and go, yeah, I need this job, I need the money, I need, you don't go in and speak to somebody a certain way in a certain situation. The old, what is it? You get more bees or flies with sugar or something. There's some stupid saying my parents used to say, and basically it holds true. If you want somebody to do something for you, or if you want somebody to listen to you, it's how you deliver the information that makes them either want to or not want to help you. So in my relationship, my wife, very early on, realized she could, and she, of course, in her eyes it was manipulating me. In my eyes it wasn't manipulation at all, because I knew really what it was. That was just how she would get what she wants. And even today, 30 years later, when she really wants something, she will turn that on, and I tell right away, okay, and I'll even ask, sometimes I'll even say, okay, what do you want? I know you want something, because she will go back to that old routine. But as our relationship evolved, as we got more comfortable with each other, as we communicated more, that little sweetie stuff, the little sweet stuff that I was attracted to in the beginning, all of that went away. And it wasn't there anymore. And it's just like every year, and that goes back to not taking for granted the people you're with. I've never, ever, ever taken my wife for granted. There's times where we all feel like we have been taken for granted, but I've never done that because I know, me personally, I know how lucky I am. I know I'm not an easy person to live with. I am all those things that I joke about. When I say I'm childish, juvenile, immature, baby, I am. That's me. That's just how I have always been. I'm not going to grow up. I refuse to grow up. You know what? I've seen grown-ups. They suck. They suck. So it's like, I don't want to be that person. She knew that going into this whole relationship. But as we've gotten older, as things have changed, you know what? I can't even imagine. I mean, I can't imagine rolling over and not having her next to me. I can't imagine not falling asleep with her. It's just those little things. I think we take things for granted. We don't know, and a lot of guys do that, and I'm sure women do it too. And because it's so easy to see the flaws. It is so easy to point to all the things that we don't like about someone or a situation. I don't like this. I don't like that. It's so easy to blame people. We love to blame people. We love to say, I didn't go to school because of this, or I didn't do this because I couldn't become the person I was because of the person I married. Everybody makes excuses, and everybody casts blame because nobody likes to admit to themselves, more than anything, that they failed because they failed, not because of someone else. If you're in a bad relationship and you can't go to school and you're trapped at home and this and that, get out. Don't make excuses. Don't cast blame on someone else. Get the fuck out. Leave that relationship. It doesn't make sense. I mean, I've tried forever to understand the mentality of people that stay in these bad relationships. I mean, they're toxic. It's like if you live with somebody that doesn't appreciate you, if you live with somebody that really, truly, you get no joy, just pockets of joy throughout the relationship, brief moments of happiness, get out. Run. Separate yourself. Go find somebody that appreciates you and that you appreciate. Don't sit there and put yourself 5 years, 10 years, 15, 20 years into a relationship that you're miserable in, or you only share a little bit of happiness. It doesn't make sense to me, but people do it. And they make excuses all their life. So to me, if your life is going to be an excuse Just one big excuse, one after the other, and you're just going to blame everybody else for your lot in life. And I didn't get an education, I didn't go to school. Now I work in a prison, remember. I work in a prison, so I hear it all. I hear every day how all these people are a product of their environment. Oh, I didn't have a mother, I didn't have a father, they didn't understand me, they were, fuck you. Don't tell me that shit. Because you know what? There's people here that have had their mothers and fathers taken away before they were even born. There's been literally babies that were delivered from a dying mother who had no parents, and that they have grown up to be amazing people. There are people that have been at a young age, they've maybe lost parents, or maybe they've got parents. As a matter of fact, there's few people that I know, two offhand, that literally at young ages, one was 12, one was 11, they lost both their mom and dad in a car accident. They're awesome people. Shit happens to everybody in life. Don't ever blame someone else for what you've become or where you're going in life. And that's what the people in prison, a lot of these guys that just don't get it. They'll make one excuse after the other without ever pointing the finger at themselves. It's my parents' fault that I became a drug dealer or a druggie or whatever. Everybody else is to blame for the shit that they've done, and that's bullshit. You are who you are. You make your choices in life. You decide what you want, when you want it, how you're going to get it. Every one of those choices are you. And nobody decides them for you. Now, there are people like in my life, my parents tried their damnedest to make sure I didn't make stupid mistakes because of my age. Because as I was growing up, like I told you guys, I wanted a tattoo. I wanted to do all kinds of stupid shit. The girl I dated was in college, and I actually thought I was going to marry her. I'm in high school. She's in college. I thought she was the love of my life. I was going to marry this girl. And my parents kept me grounded. They kept me, and they said, look, give it a year, give it 2 years. Don't get, they were just kind of being there more as guides than telling me what to and not to do. And to this day, I thank God for that, because I would have made so many mistakes. I was so, I was so, even today I'm kind of spontaneous on things, but I couldn't see through my own emotions what I wanted. To me it all seemed normal, and I knew what I wanted, and I kind of resented them when I was young for telling me I couldn't do things or what, and now I look back and I go, oh, God bless them for looking out for me, because I truly didn't see a lot. I wasn't used. See, they already had a lifetime of history and a lifetime of experience that they were going through and that they had went through, and I actually reaped the benefits from their experiences on what was, what worked, what didn't work, and but at the time I couldn't see that. I couldn't see that growing up. I couldn't see that all the times they told me no or don't do this or don't. It wasn't because they wanted to be mean to me. It was really because that was their job as my parents. So, I kind of take it personal when people say that it's someone else's fault. And I've never understood why people stay in those bad relationships, and they'll blame, especially if they have kids or, even if they don't have kids. It's just, if you are not happy with the person you're with, if you are not, and everybody has moments where they're not happy with that person they're with. Everybody has moments where they just want to bail and run. But let's be realistic. If 90% of the time you're happy, that 10% doesn't matter. That 10% falls by the wayside. I look at this, if I had to say what percentage of time I am happy, I would say in my relationship, the way my life is, 70% of the time, 70% of the time, I'm happy. I like everything. I'm content with everything. Now, that other, 30%, that's on me, because a lot of times I know what it takes to make me happy, and I just don't go for it, or I don't do it, and that's kind of on me. That other 30%, I mean, because I realize I can't change anybody, and a lot of people don't realize that. A lot of people think that they're going to find these people and they're going to change them and make them the way that they want them. Let me tell you right now, this shit don't work. People will change for you for 15 minutes, or a year or whatever. People will change just long enough for you to stop bitching about them changing. And then they'll end up reverting, because you can't, people are who people are. You can't change them. So it's kind of funny, because everybody wants this person to change and that person to change. And you know what? That's not who they are, and that's not going to happen. I mean, I realized a long time ago, I can't change anybody but myself. Now, self-improvement's I'm all about that. I can make things better for myself, but I can't make things better for anyone else. So I don't even try. I mean, it's like, you are who you are. I either accept that or I don't. And I hope, same as other people, I hope they either accept who I am or don't, and move on. But I don't try to change people anymore, because it's just not going to happen. I know that. I realize that. I've made a lot of stupid mistakes in my life because I tried to change into something I'm not. And those are the worst things you can do. I mean, now there's a difference between, changing for someone else and self-improvement. I mean, if you're a lazy person, don't want to work, don't want to get a job, and you just want to be lazy all the time because that's who you are, well, then you're going to get what you get. Then, you are only going to get what you work for, because in life, you got to work for everything. And the bottom line is, nobody says you have to change. You want to be lazy, be lazy. But there is a such thing as self-improvement. If you're lazy and you say to yourself, well, you know what? I can get out and get a job, go to school, and I can be lazy on my days off, then you be lazy on your days off, and that's self-improvement. You make your life better for you. But don't ever blame someone else for your laziness. Don't ever blame someone else for your lot in life. Don't ever blame someone else because you couldn't find happiness. You couldn't find love. You couldn't make the money that you wanted to make. You couldn't get the education that you wanted. When you start blaming other people for all those things that are in your control, and then I love people that say, well, they're not in my control. I couldn't find a job because I didn't have an education. Well, get an education. Everybody can get an education. There's Pell Grants, there's Perkins Grants. There's all kinds of loans and grants that are given to everybody every day. Don't sit here and say that education is a problem, because it's not. So I don't know. There's a lot of things in life that I look at over the years. Now I look back at it and I think, God, was I so stupid? I mean, everything. I mean, I look back and I think everything in my life that I actually, at one time, I thought I was doing it the right way. I look back now and I go, God, I was so stupid. I was stupid about education. I was stupid about love. I was stupid about friendship. I was stupid about religion. I was stupid about jobs. Every time I don't even know why. Honestly, I don't even know why most of the people in my life would even have anything to do with me, because I must be the stupidest person in the world, because all the things that were right there in front of me, I couldn't see. And it's like, wow, how could you not see these things? And it was because at that moment in time, what was most real to me when I was looking at anything was what I thought I knew. It wasn't fact. It was just basically it was emotional more than logical. And I think a lot of people do that. We think emotionally more than logically, probably most of our lives. Almost every decision we make is based on some kind of emotion. It goes back to what we were talking about. Everything you do is because you're looking to gain pleasure or avoid pain. And that's that emotional component to every decision that I've ever made. Everything's always been emotional. It's never been thought out. At least now, as I get older, now it all makes sense. But growing up, I couldn't see that. But I look at life now a little bit different, especially when you get to a certain point, you get to a certain age where you're like, holy shit. I mean, if you're lucky, I mean, let's say you're truly blessed, you are one of the luckiest people in the world, and you're going to live to be 100 years old. Now, that might seem like a blessing, but when you think about the fact that life really declines at about, let's go big, let's say 70. Let's say that most people are healthy until they're 70. But from 70 to that 100, so 70, 80, 90, so for 30 years, you're not getting better, you're just declining. I mean, think about that. 30 years of your life is in a downward spiral towards death. I mean, that's a depressing way to look at it, but if you live to be 100, your last 30 years are a spiral to death. Your back, your arthritis, cancers, diseases, all those things that elderly people are faced with every day. From 70 to 30 years, downward spiral, that's what you're looking forward to. Immobility, all these things that you see it every day in life. So if you live to be 100, 30 years don't really count because they're not 30 great years, they're just 30 years on the planet left. Now, in your beginning, when you start your life, as you grow up, you go, maybe you're 13, 15, 16, 18, 20, 25 even, maybe even 30. Maybe even 30, up to 30 years old, you've discovered who you were, you've taken the classes, got the education, maybe you found the relationships you think you want. So up until the age of 30, you're just getting your balance, kind of figuring out life in general, what you like, what you don't like, who you don't like, what education you want to do, what career you want, what you want in a boyfriend or a girlfriend, a husband, a wife. So for 30 years, you've taken just to figure that out. I mean, it was all learning. Those are all educational years. So 30 years in decline, 30 years just to find out who the hell you are, because a lot of people think they knew at 18 or 20 who they were. Now, you don't really know life until you've lived it. So let's just say 30 years in the front end, 30 years in the back here. There's 60 out of 100. 60 of those years are spent what? On what? I mean, really, 60 years, you've got to learn a lifetime of experience in those that brief 30 years in the beginning, and then hold on 30 years in the end. So really, it's that 40 years that you have in the middle. So if the first 30 are your learning curve, the last 30 are your downward trends, that's where you'll reflect on life and see what you've accomplished, then what you enjoyed, and hope you have somebody to put you in a good care facility. I don't know what it is. But 30 forward, 30 end, so you got 40 years in the middle, and those 40 years in the middle are the years that you truly want to make count. So you've got to figure it out before you get it, or early on into those 40 years. And I'm kind of like right there. I've got about 20 years or so before I start my downward slant. If I make it that far, who knows? If you get hit by a bus tomorrow. But in between those 40 years are the years where I've learned most of everything that I've learned in life. Didn't come when I was 18 or 20 or in college, or even after I had my first or second kid. I was still learning every day. I tried to learn by other people's mistakes, by information I could. Now the internet made things a lot easier, because now if I want to know something that is just factual, I can find it out on the internet. But those 40 years in between those are the years that you've got to find your happiness. You've got to now some people find happiness early on. They might be high school sweethearts, get married, and live happily ever after. However, reality says to me that doesn't happen very often. Reality says people are who people are. They meet, they fall in love, they fall out of love, they break up, get divorced, and they look for someone new. because new is fresh, it's exciting, it's, you know, I mean, all the things. That's, I mean, realistically, people fall in and out of love and in and out of relationships not because they don't love that individual anymore. I mean, that can be a lot of it, but I think they're always looking for the next the next thing to keep them excited, to refresh, to rejuvenate them, to make those juices flow and really be in a certain state, a mental state. So they'll jump from relationship to relationship, thinking they're looking for happiness. They're not finding, where chances are they let the person go a long time ago because they were you've heard the old adage, it's always greener on the other side of the fence, you know, that type of thing. And people are always looking for something bigger and better than they have. And I think and a lot of times they miss really what was in store for them in a great relationship because they never let it go the distance. But that goes back to being happy. People say, I'm not happy, I'm miserable. If it's something you can't fix and the other person can't fix, you don't need to stay there. But I do truly believe that those 40 years in between are the years that you really should be finding out what makes you happy. Find your soulmate. Find that. I was lucky. I was barely old enough to drink, and I found someone that I was comfortable with, that I loved very much, that I was willing to spend the rest of my life with, and it worked out fantastic for me. It's just my life, and it has not been easy. Oh my God, the old fairy tale. Oh, it's been a fairy tale. Oh no, we've had ups, we've had downs, we've had fights, we've had tiffs. We have had the full gamut of experiences. That shit just happens. I mean, you got to deal with it and make it work. It is, no matter what anyone tells you, any relationship is work. And if you ain't willing to work at it, you're never going to have a relationship, ever. Relationships are work. Hey guys, I'm coming up to my work. I'm on site here, so I may break up a little bit and lose you. If I do me a favor, my self-promotion here, follow me on Twitch, on any of the streaming platforms you're on. Follow me on the platform. I'll see you this afternoon during the drive home, about 3:15, 3:30. And then tonight I'll see you at 7 o'clock, online if you're going to watch the stream then. Thanks for sticking with me on the way to work. Thinking Out Loud is just kind of the time where you can, I can kind of throw it out there and see what sticks and make sure that I share some of my thoughts. Because life's complicated and it's never easy. But it sure is easy if you can have some feedback from people that can that have been there and done that, you know. But so that's pretty much it. I just want to say thanks for staying with me on the morning drive. I found out, oh God, I'll tell you, I'll be honest with you, I do these in the morning and I don't really think that people are watching. I kind of say whatever's on my mind, whatever's on my head, and a lot of times I don't think that people are watching because it's so early in the morning, but I forget there's other parts of the world where people might actually be clicking on this shit and going, I have someone that watches that may let me know that they watch. She let me know she watches in the mornings where she's at. So, hi. Oh gosh, now I got to remember the original gin. I think the original gin. But I appreciate you guys staying. I will actually make a point of trying to do that afternoon drive today, and I know I missed it last week one day because I had a ton of stuff going on. I apologize about that. Trying to stay consistent for you guys. Morning drive, afternoon drive, and then at 7 o'clock. So I definitely want to make sure that I do right by you and be there when you need me and expect me anyway. So thanks for tuning in this morning. Thanks for staying with me. Time to get my ass into work and see what today brings. Always something new. Always something exciting. And now that we're getting back to normal, It ought to be even more exciting. All right. If I can find a spot. Well, let me get in here and I see my coworkers all waving at me. All right, guys. Well, hey, have a good day. Hopefully you had a great weekend. You start your Monday off right. So if you're going to work,